Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim. I'm joined by Donald. How are you?
I am feeling excited and giddy right now as we're filming, as E3 is coming up. However, by the time you're watching this, I'll be sleepy and tired because I would have stayed up all night watching the E3 press conferences.
Yes, and writing all those articles that everyone who is watching should check out on our new website, newgameplus.tv.
Visit it for good times.
Yes, and also all the coverage from the Rocket Chainsaw guys who will be on the show floor at E3, supplying us with some fantastic interviews.
The future of gaming, so look forward to all of that.
Yes, but we've got an episode for us here now as well.
Yes.
Obviously, we want to be covering some E3 stuff, but that'll be coming up in the following weeks. But
Patience
for now,
will be rewarded, so don't you worry, kids.
For now, we have a look at Blizzard's new MOBA. I almost said Heart of the Swarm. Heroes of the Storm. Now you can see how I get confused because they both have HOTS acronyms.
So let's say there's Heroes of the Storm,
Yes.
Heart of the Swarm, Heart of the Stone.
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon Blizzard are trying to milk this HOTS thing as much as they can. Someone in marketing is giving themselves a rather thorough high five.
Once Legacy of the Void comes out, it'll be
Yeah.
okay. We won't have
They'll still
the same
use
acronyms.
the HOTS acronym for that one. You know
somehow.
they will.
Yes, somehow.
We also look at the Escapists, which has just hit Xbox One and PS4.
And we've got Old Game Plus back this week, as
Yes.
well as a movie segment checking out Jurassic Park and Entourage.
So we've got all that to look forward to in the next half hour, so let's just get straight to it, Joe. Let's get to the Escapists.
So Team 17 have released a heap of games lately. So they've had LA Cops, they've had Schrodinger's Cat, which will come up in a future episode, but they've also got the Escapists, which they're publishing as well. And it's about escaping prison. You start off as this kind of, I guess, 8 to 16-bit character. You're in prison. You've got to follow the routine of prison. You have to show up for roll call. You have to show up for meals. You have to show up for like showers, work, all that kind of stuff. But in your spare time, you're trying to work out an escape plan. And there's 6 different prisons to escape from, starting from basically like the lowest security prison you could ever ask for, right through to like Supermax, basically. And so, you know, you can dig your way out, you can take a guard's uniform. There are so many different ways that you can do it. It's a little bit procedural in that every night items randomize. Like whatever you have in your box will keep, but everything else will randomize. So if you, like, whichever cells are going to get searched that day will change, the guard patterns will change a little bit, but there's lots of different ways that you can influence it. So you can influence it so you get a job in a particular facility you need to do what you need to do to make a tool to escape, or you can find it so that you're on the good side with the guards and so that they're a bit nicer to you, so then you're able to, like, you know, steal stuff from them. There's lots of different ways to escape, hence the Escapists. And as much as the top-down kind of borderline isometric viewpoint might throw a few people, and like the kind of lo-fi graphics may make people think, oh, it's just another indie game, there is a hell of a lot of depth to this. It's very emergent, if we're going to use the buzzwords, and basically it makes it so that everything that you do in game has a distinct distinct effect on the world. So, you know, you can choose to be a digger, you can choose to do all of these different things. You play it your way, basically, with the end goal of escaping prison. And I'm having way much more fun with it than I thought I would. And I've spent so long just replaying the same thing over and again. So those people who miss the old Hitmans for that kind of trial and error, see what works kind of gameplay, this is probably the next best thing you could hope for.
You must build a boat. There's an elegance to this name, isn't there? But beneath 88 Games' simple title is a game that's brimming with depth. You Must Build a Boat is a sequel to 10 Million, and both games are all at once a match 3 puzzler, an endless runner, and a roguelike RPG. On your dungeon runs, there are 2 things going on screen. In the bottom section, you're matching weapons, keys, and various other tiles into 3s. This is so that your avatar on the top section of the screen can defeat all the enemies and get through the various obstacles that popped in his way, so he can continue endlessly running until the scrolling screen envelops him. On your runs, you earn golden materials, which you can use to upgrade your spells, your weapons, and your stats, you know, for the next run. You'll also complete quests, recruit shipmates, and generally build a boat. Now, the game's individual elements work well individually, but together they work fantastically. The endless running thing keeps you in there for the short term, the RPG elements for the long term. And then there's the axis scrolling match 3 mechanics, which are a lot more active than something like, say, Puzzle and Dragons or Candy Crush. The emphasis here is on speedy matches, but that isn't to say there isn't any strategy here, because you have to make sure you have the right pieces, the right elements on screen for when an enemy with a particular weakness comes up, or if a trap comes flying your way. Now, I might call this fusion of otherwise popular elements insidious, if it weren't for the fact that I'd probably be knees deep in yet another run, because You Must Build a Boat combines its disparates fantastically to build a game that just gets its hooks into you. Maybe the title isn't meant to be so literal after all.
Alright, now you're going to tell me about Jurassic World, and I'm just going to warn you now, like, the only thing I know of Jurassic World is the Chris Pratt trailer.
Chris Pratt as friend of the Raptor.
The Raptor Whisperer.
Yeah,
if he could run and squeak and squawk with the Raptors.
Eddie Murphy's the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, okay.
He's really funny, especially the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yep. Adam Sandler level.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, that trailer had me worried as well because it looked awful. The film is pretty good.
Okay.
It's not great. It's an enjoyable popcorn film. Some of the storylines are a bit silly and some of the character motivations are a bit all over the place. The Friend of the Raptor isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Because, I mean, it's a pretty silly concept. I mean, they go from, like, the deadliest thing in number one, like, the most terrifying kind of thing, and then they go to, like,
I guess
I'm riding a bike, guys. Come for a run.
Yeah, run along.
Yeah.
He's the alpha.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
It's not as bad, but yeah, it's not
Okay.
bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put one thing to you. The reason I like number one was the practical effects. Like, they've done away with the practical effects, haven't they?
It's more CGI.
Right. Well, then, if they're going to have rubber dinosaurs, I'm not interested.
There's still some cool stuff in there, but yeah, it's not great. But again, I enjoyed it. I had some fun, and you're kind of like, cool. I mean, they'll do another 4 films.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
right, yeah.
And maybe some of those will be better.
Okay. Speaking of fake people, Entourage the movie. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the series. I'm going to put that out there right now. I got why people like it. I just don't particularly find it any good.
It is the male version of Sex and the City, but
Far more insipid.
yeah, like a lot less respectful women
Yeah.
and a whole lot of thing. If you like the show, you like the movie.
Yeah.
It is a season's worth of stuff into things. So there's a lot
Right.
of times where like they'll introduce a plot point and then they'll go for a drive and then they'll resolve the plot point. You're like, it was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, right,
Like,
okay.
It's not really. Yeah, you're resolving it, but it doesn't feel like it's given it justice.
Well, it kind of sounds like what they're going to do is Arrested Development. Like, they've built up to completing it in a movie, so he's hoping that they don't rush through that one.
Just to put every storyline in there.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's always spin-offs and next movies.
That's true. Well, what you should do instead is watch more foreign films. Now, I know you've never seen a foreign film before. I made you watch Japanese movies.
Exactly. Like that film degree I did, and just watching movies.
Yeah.
I'd never watched anything foreign.
Okay.
I was a complete Tim.
Which is a complete Tim. So, one thing you should watch, though, is Ace Attorney, which is Takashi Miike's retelling of Gakuten Seiban.
So I played a little bit of that game. What I hated is I wanted to ask a question. This is what I thought we should have a break. Like this is the
Video
question
game
I want
logic.
to. No, you have to get into the mindset and follow the
Video
path.
game logic.
And I hated that.
Well, the thing with the movie does a great job of is not only visually representing the menus, as strange as that sounds. Like, you know how they have the windows that come up? It really does a great job of visually representing that. But also, it makes...
it's subtitles with then text and subtitles.
No, it's not that bad. But like, it really takes the Mickey out of itself in that front. So if anything, Takashi Miike is very good at looking at source material and turning it down. It's probably one of the better video game movies.
So slightly better than Street Fighter.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I was mostly inspired by theatrical animation like Bugs Bunny and the Sunday comics. So a lot of my work looks like a throwback to, I don't know, the golden age of the Sunday funnies, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I like to put in a lot of humor, a lot of adventure. Well, comics were the only thing that seemed real to me when I was a kid. I mean, when I grew up in the 60s, TV was very, very silly. Gilligan's Island, I Dream of Jeannie, and television commercials used to drive me crazy. They were just so stupid. But in comics, you could read Mad Magazine. They would tell you what the grown-ups were doing by selling you these products you don't need. And Peanuts, same way. You could actually see real kid emotions evolving. You know, what things that happen to real kids, how they feel on the playground. So comics were always the most real thing to me. Oh, are you kidding? Bone is a huge shadow. It did become much more popular than I ever imagined, and it's gone on with Scholastic to like, where new generations of kids read it every year, and I've done 2 more projects since then, Rassel and Tukey, and no, they're never going to be like Bone, but that's okay with me. I don't mind being the Bone guy. I'm very proud of Bone, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Well, it was different in one way, was that I wasn't quite as concerned. It was Captain Marvel. Shazam is a very old Golden Age, indestructible character, and he's light-hearted, he's good, and I had no problem working with that character. In fact, when I took the gig, people said, "You're not going to put in the talking tiger, are you?" And I said, "Are you kidding? That's the best part about it." So I had fun. I like doing that. Well, it's changed hugely. Independent comics was a very small part of the industry. We couldn't get reviewed. We couldn't be sold on Amazon or be in bookstores, the self-publishers especially. Comics couldn't really be sold on Amazon. They weren't interested. Graphic novels has changed. And one of the biggest changes that I've noticed is when I look around out here, 25 years ago, it was just guys like us, and now it's families and you'll see 2 girlfriends walking by just buying comics. The audience has changed dramatically. Well, I just started Tukey, which is an online comic, although it'll eventually make its way into print. And that's probably going to take me 5 years or so. It takes me at least that long to do a book. I'm a little slow. But I'm very much into it. I'm really into the paleontology and the fossils and getting all the pieces right about who had vocal cords that could talk and what did they eat and that kind of stuff. So I'm just having fun. I get up in the morning and look forward to going to my drawing table.
Welcome to Old Game Plus, and this week we thought we'd talk about games that quite left us hanging and unfinished.
Yes, games that look like they have a sequel. They have wonderful stories, and we've really enjoyed them. And recently in a stream, because we stream every Sunday night from 8 o'clock, Advent Rising, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it ended on a cliffhanger, and you look it up, and there was meant to be more games. It was meant to be a trilogy. They actually half-developed one on a PSP as a sequel, but they never released it because the first one cost so much, and they never made the money back.
Well, the other one that happened to is we played Republic Commando, and at the end, one of our dudes was left behind, and
so tactical-based shooter. One of our squad members was left behind on the planet while we took off. The Emperor ordered all the other clone troopers to destroy the Jedi, and it ended there. And I've talked to a friend about it, and he said, there was meant to be one called Imperial Commando to follow it up, and never happened.
Well, it probably will. With Star Wars coming up, that's a big franchise, so I'll probably look at it. But also, now, we're big fans of Sonic here, and Sonic 4, Episode 1 and 2 came out with Sonic, and then with Tails.
But the third one with Knuckles never came out because Sega thought that they weren't making enough money off it and just cancelled it.
Or look at Darksiders. It was supposed to be each one about Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Yep.
And we got 2 of them.
We got 2. Yeah, we're missing 2.
We're missing 2. We're no Apocalypse.
That one was a bit different, as in the company that I owned it closed down, and the actual Darksiders franchise was sold off to Nordic Games, who make Alan Wake. So they've still got it. So hopefully on the horizon there might be more to the Darksiders story.
Developer Alan Wake, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
One of the most famous ones, Beyond Good and Evil. That's the one everybody wants to see a sequel of. They teased
Such a good game. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Just again hanging. Shenmue. There's been 1 and 2. We've done that in a stream.
1 and 2.
We're in a cave. We've just found the 2 giant mirrors on the wall, and that's it. Gone. And Yu Suzuki has talked about having a Kickstarter
which is a good way to continue these stories that when the original way they were made has shut down and things like that. But
Do the studios and do the publishers, if they promise us a series, a trilogy, do they have an obligation to deliver one or not?
They probably do. The people that make the game and put their heart and soul into the game probably feel that obligation. But legally, who owns the game? The publisher, the developer, the people that worked on it, the people who wrote the music for it. There's so much legal wrangling in there. You'd have to get around to make that happen again.
But it is a good place for Kickstarter now that we have that to go to the community and say we'd like to finish. Assuming you can remove the lawyers and that from the equation. What about the big one we haven't spoken about yet?
The biggest.
The one that everybody wants.
Everyone wants it.
Yep.
So Half-Life 2 Episode 2 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's been hanging out for the next Half-Life, and we'll come back next week and discuss Half-Life.
Next week. We'll tell you everything we know
stay
about
tuned.
Half-Life Episode 3. Or we won't.
Can't afford to.
Cut.
This is the story of a Lombax named Ratchet and his robot friend Clank and the muscular, irresistibly handsome hero who helped them save the galaxy.
Oh boy.
Just remember what I taught you.
What did you teach me? Let's try this baby out. Yes!
I thought it was time to get you a new run.
Locking on. Got him.
Are you ready to be a Galactic Ranger? We want you!
I'm glad they were the ones to make the Ratchet & Clank the movie, the game reference before the rest of us could latch onto it.
Yes, I'm very excited for both because I'm a big Ratchet and Clank fan. The fact that it's a reboot is very interesting because they're bringing back a lot of the stuff that was in number one, like the hoverboard racing and some of the old weaponry. That means they can reuse like ideas they've done before with the disco ball and
but those are good ideas though. Those ideas won't die. And if Spider-Man has taught us anything, we can go through the same origin story over and over again. Also a Sony property.
Yes, but this one looks different. So they're gonna tinker with the origin story. So what really matters is the humor's still there and the gameplay still looks fantastic.
But the graphics look very much upgraded. As in, I'm not sure like how to discern between the potential CG footage or in-game footage, but it's starting to look like the sort of CG digital animated movie that, well, we're expecting to see in cinemas in some holiday season.
Yeah, and it's looking a lot better than the PS3 series, which was really good looking as well. So I personally can't wait for it.
Well, of course, you would have played a bunch of these games as a kid, wouldn't you?
Yep, I've played number 2 countless times. It's just a fantastic series.
Are you embracing your childhood for this game?
Pretty much. I'm just getting in my PJs and just reliving my childhood. Now today we're having a look at Blizzard's entry to the MOBA space.
It's so strange saying that. It's
Heroes
so strange saying
of the Storm.
So Heroes of the Storm. Now people are instantly going to say, but hey, I thought Dota was a Blizzard thing.
Yes. Originally, Dota was, of course, a Warcraft 3 mod. However, it was developed by the community. And Valve picked up those community members, made Dota 2.
Yep.
But now Blizzard has come into the space and made their own style brawler game instead of Dota genre game.
And the big definition there is it's a style. So you could argue that League of Legends and Dota, Heroes of New Earth, they do follow the same basic idea.
Yes.
Like you fight, you level up, you get gold, blah, 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 blah. You can argue which one's better, Dota. But Heroes of the Storm is completely different.
Yes.
Like I would never call it a MOBA game, and I don't think they do either.
Yes, and of course the main differences here, of course there's lots of similarities. You see skill shots like you get in LoL and characters that you might find in Dota, but from the Blizzard universes. So what they call it is a brawler game where you have your hero, levels up, shared XP throughout the team, you level up and pick like adjustments to your abilities and your passives, so it's not like leveling up your abilities in these other MOBA games. And basically you just fight over objectives on 7 maps, and now that it's shared XP, you're not necessarily going to get the carries and the supports that you get in these other games.
The traditional
can't
roles
get
are gone.
fat.
Yeah. So you can't have like the stupidly fat anti-mage with Battle Fury Heart at 35 minutes. It doesn't work like that. Basically, the better the team does, the better the team does. It's as simple as that. So, and that's why the objectives are so important, like occupying the Dragon Knight, going into the mines, that kind of stuff matters more than having one person farming up top, because farming doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it's very much a momentum-based game, but it's a different kind of momentum. It's objective momentum rather than momentum of heroes getting items, getting fat so you can win every fight and then eventually take the objective.
We should cover the heroes, because this is, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that Blizzard can draw from. I mean, it was the inspiration for Dota. They took a lot of the people in that. So you've got Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft. There's heaps of people that they can draw from. The purchasing model is very interesting.
Yes,
Shall I say it?
Basically they start off with a 5 mixed free rotation that you get every week that changes up, and next week there'll be 5 new ones, and next week 5 new ones. However, none of the heroes that you play with are purchased until you spend gold or real money to purchase these heroes. Now,
so, which is different again even from LoL and the other ones.
It is a hard slog. Gold is a very hard slog to grind up and purchase these heroes. So if you want to get into the game, you end up spending real money. But what I really wanted was a decent starter pack that had a good chunk of heroes, and I just don't really see it here.
There's a Nexus pack, there's a few others, but there's nothing that really says, here is a step in the game, like Smite, $30, all the heroes from this point onwards. Fantastic, do you know what I mean? LoL even has its packs, but, you know.
Yeah, so Heroes of the Storm, it's a good entry-level MOBA, just brings in the basics. It's a lot of fun, but could certainly use a little more polish.
So Tim, as the devout Dota fan, you didn't quite take to Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, it's a little bit jarring farming on these heroes that I play in Dota, and they're just a little bit different, and you're not farming gold, you're not getting items, and you're not progressing as you would in other MOBA games, because all the XP is shared, and while that has its benefits, it also has its downsides. You can't get to a point where, as a carry, you're taking on the entire enemy team by yourself. But that has its positives, because you can have newer players that aren't necessarily feeding the enemy, and once that happens in the other games, it just goes downhill from there, because you get weaker and weaker as they get stronger and stronger. The gap in this isn't as big, so you can continuously fight and have fun pretty much until the end of the game, whereas you can have a Dota game of 40 minutes where you're just constantly losing and getting more and more behind. So I think that's good.
We've both been on the receiving end of that. But it seems like the MOBA for the rest of us, but it's also competing in a very crowded scene, what with also League of Legends, Smite, and all the other legacy MOBAs. Blizzard will be very interested in pushing the community forward. Whether the community will go along with it, time will only tell.
Yeah, and I think it does well to stand alone, because it's that different style of game, as well as they've got a lot of heroes and things that they can draw on. I'm waiting for Overwatch heroes. That's going to be cool.
I'm waiting for actual Hearthstone cards to be heroes in this game.
Yes.
But that's for the future. Also for the future are a bunch of events that we as New Game Plus will be at, won't we?
Yes, we've got lots of big events coming up. You'll be at Oz Comic Con hosting a panel.
Yes, we'll have our trivia panel. Come by on the Sunday at 4:30 for all your trivia know-how. We will also be up at Haven in Mackay, Queensland on the 4th of July. So come say hello to us if you see us on the various show floors.
Yes, and be sure to visit our new website, where we'll have a whole lot of E3 coverage from ourselves ourselves, looking at the press conferences and beyond, as well as the Rocket Chainsaw guys with content from the show floor. So look forward to that.
So I believe our website for all of this is www.newgameplus.tv.
And be sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
Like us on Twitter at NewGamePlusTV.
Follow our Instagram at NewGamePlusTV.
And watch us on YouTube as well, New Game Plus TV.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, Tim.
We'll see you guys next week.